to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
It was a terrifying experience.
I thought we was going to go to jail for murder.
That day, we were a little behind, so we worked until it was starting to get dark.
We loaded up the equipment and hadn't driven very far when we caught glimmers of this glow coming through the trees. I urged Mike to hurry up and get up there.
Travis had the door open before we even stopped. As he got closer, I heard the sound.
One of the guys said, "You feel that?"
I really panicked then.
I told him, "Get the hell out of here."
It didn't come directly to me. It came to a deputy sheriff. Three of us volunteered right away to tell him what had happened.
Sheriff Gillespie definitely didn't believe it.
He says that we better be certain because we get in a lot of trouble.
When we went to search the next day, they split us up. And the whole time, the deputies asked me, if you just tell us where the body is, we can all go home and get this over with.
We're talking about 100 people combing through the wooded area. Nothing turns up.
All week long, I've been hearing they're going to set it up to make you guys look guilty.
We're a rough-looking bunch then. Some of us have been in trouble with the law before.
Y'all ain't never going to come out of that jailhouse.
We couldn't get out.
I tried to sneak out the back door the day of the polygraph test. I was scared to death.
On top of that, you have media.
I literally would be on two telephones at the same time.
We even got some coots in here now that's coming in and out to see the freak show, as they call it.
Everyone descends.
I just wasn't going to stand there and listen to it anymore.
Granny said, "This is Travis. I'm back. I need help."
When I did hear that he had been returned, it was almost as unbelievable as the original thing.
I just looked at my mom and says, "I told you we didn't kill him."
Travis Walton reappeared after several days with a bizarre story about a ride in an unidentified flying object.
People were desperate to explain it away.
Why are you sticking up for Travis for all this time? You know this really didn't happen.
What happened to Travis after we took off in that truck, I can't tell you.
I hated Travis for a long time after this. My whole world just tore up.
But I believe every word Travis said about it. He's never lied to me about nothing.
It's a net negative. We lost our jobs in the immediate aftermath.
And now you're not able to talk about it with anyone because you know that they're going to laugh at you, they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
But if you don't come out and tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you.
There's a degree of responsibility. Certainly I have to accept the bad. If I can direct what's happened in a way that I can make something good happen in the world, I'm looking for it.
Order your copy of Travis, The True Story of Travis Walton, today at www.traviswaltonthemovie.com.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you live and around the world from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all websites, I shouldn't say websites, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And you can always visit us online at www.xzoneradiotv.com. Now, before we get to our first guest tonight, I was just handed something from the X-Zone news director that he brought over from the other side of the building at the Canadian News Network. It's a geomagnetic storm warning. Unexpectedly, a CME struck Earth's magnetic field during the late hours of July 19th, which is today. The impact sparked a minor G1 class geomagnetic storm that could intensify in the hours ahead as Earth passes through the CME's strongly magnetized wake. For more information, visit spaceweather.com for all updates, and that's from the Canadian News Network. Wow. Welcome, everyone. This has been one of those strange days. You know, Donald Trump has finally been recognized and voted in as the RNC's presidential candidate. Thank God that is over. Let's move on. There's a lot of negativity in the world today. No two ways about it. We've seen it on television. We keep seeing it on television. We see it on the streets where we live, for goodness sake. I still see homeless people downtown Toronto and Hamilton. I still know there are children going to school hungry, going to school without proper clothing. Mom and dad are trying their very best to survive. I have a question. Is it something that we are going through in a natural cycle, or is it something evil? And if it is, what is bringing it on? My guest this hour is Jeffrey SEELMAN. He is a professional clearing expert, teacher, author, psychic, and exorcist. He was born going back to 1959 and exhibited psychic abilities from the very beginning. After serving in the United States Air Force, Jeffrey studied metaphysical thought and philosophy during the 1980s. In 1992, Jeffrey brought his service to the public. Through distance or personal work, Jeffrey is able to clear the body's energy fields of great amounts of negative emotional energy and dissolve negative connections to others. This is why he is on the show tonight. And Jeffrey, thanks very much for coming on. And, give us a hand here, Jeffrey. Tell us what's going on.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for having me on. I do think we are going through a lot of changes in our history of our world. We have been controlled by governments and kings and queens, and there's just a huge history of it. And I think people have had quite enough, and I think that we are beginning to look for a change, and it's not coming easy.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of negativity out there. There are people who want to see this control continue, and they're doing their best to make that happen. And so there's sort of a war going on. It's always been going on, but it's really seems to be coming to a head. You know, I'm looking very deeply at it, and I have been. This is the work that I do on a daily basis. I also believe that we have both good and what we would call evil spirits that are highly involved in seeing this come to fruition. And it is. And so it is an incredible time to be alive, and everything that we do has a chance to make a difference. So right now, it's a good time to be alive and be involved in all of this, and there is so much at stake.
There certainly is. Is it possible for us, without banding together, to make the difference that it will take to fight off this negative or these evil presences that everyone is feeling, but they don't know what to do about it?
Oh, absolutely. We normally do not see negative spirits. Also, there's a lot of negative emotional energy coming from people, even good people. You know, they're angry, they're scared. You talked about homelessness and people not getting enough to eat. That's been going on for a long time, as you know. And so negative spirits are trying to get good people to feel very angry and look for some kind of change. Some of this, I believe, is misguided, and we need to approach this from a more positive angle. And I think that's also happening. Something I wrote on social media a couple of days ago is that have people out there noticed that good people are beginning to talk to each other more, essentially signaling to each other that, hey, I am okay with you. I'm okay with you. I'm not your enemy. And so I think good people are beginning to band together. Also, unfortunately, negative people are beginning to band together. Behind this are negative spirits and positive spirits.
All right, stand by, my friend. You and I have to take a short commercial break. X-Zone Nation, Jeffrey SEELMAN is our special guest. www.starclear.com. Thanks very much for joining us, Jeffrey. Hopefully we can make a difference in someone's life in the next hour. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, IPBN Radio Network, and affiliates, stations, and satellite program providers around the world. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
If you enjoy reading a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love From Out of the Woodwork by William S. Peckham. Sean Kennedy, a Toronto contractor, buys derelict houses, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, a century house in ruins, and starts the renovation, the house fights back. He is visited by ghosts of owners past. His visions are triggered by touching an oak mantle, reading a faded letter, opening an old locket, or opening a brand new casket in the basement. These visions will take you on a trip across southern Ontario from Niagara Falls to Toronto to Kingston. From Out of the Woodwork is now available in paperback and on your favorite electronic reader. To order your copy of From Out of the Woodwork, go to www.williamspeckham.com. That's www.williamspeckham.com. Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell. I'd like to say hello to my producer in Sydney, Nova Scotia tonight, the one and only beautiful Amanda Curran. Hey, Amanda, thanks very much for all that you do to make this show the success that it is. And before I get back to my guest this hour, Jeffrey SEELMAN, I'd just like to remind everyone that this is from the Canadian News Network. That's just on the other side of the building here in Hamilton. Unexpectedly, a CME struck Earth's magnetic field during the late hours of July 19th. The impact sparked a minor G1 class geomagnetic storm that could intensify in the hours ahead as Earth passes through the CME's strongly magnetized wake. For more information and for updates, spaceweather.com. Jeffrey, you and I were talking about negativity. Now, have you seen more and more people coming to you with problems that concern negativity and all the different aspects of the darker side that you deal with.
Absolutely. And the reasons that they come to me are quite varied. And so they're not always sure what's going on. They're feeling negative. Possibly they're arguing with their significant other, problems at work, all of this. But when I talk to them, I get feelings, impressions that there's something behind that. And so very often this is negative emotional energy from people. We generate that. And also negative emotional energy from spirits. And so that part of us that is non-physical generates emotional energy. And so there are a lot of people, more and more people are coming to talk to me through Skype and email and telephone and all the different ways to communicate with me, social media, which is very popular. And so, yes, I think that it's going to increase. I don't see this as something that is leveling off. I think this is going to get worse before it gets better. And so when I explore these things, I have to look at this objectively and professionally, and I've been doing this for 25 years, so I find that they might think that this is coming from one source, when actually there's an amplification going on of negative emotional energy that's being generated by people that are frightened and angry, and also negative spirits. And there are two kinds of negative spirits. There are negative people who are dead and continue to do negative things, and there also are demonic spirits that could be said to be the counterpart of angels. So they're on that level of power, Rob. And they are behind the amplification of people's anger. And so they lock into people's emotional systems, and they generate anger and rage, and that causes people to do things and feel things that they would not normally do.
Why now? What happened to cause all this negativity? Did it have anything to do with the galactic alignment going back to December the 21st, 2012?
All of this.
Wow.
You know, I think it's just simply time. Our whole world is going through great changes. Just about every country we're reading about, and in the news and different media sources, great changes in our world. There is a lot at stake. And so there's a war going on, and we've talked about this in different ways with different people. There's a war going on, and we haven't won this war. The outcome of this battle has not been determined yet. And so there are positive spirits that are really trying to help people, good people, and give people like you and I good ideas about how we can help people and get the messages out. And there are lots of negative spirits of different varieties that are doing the exact same thing and getting people to do negative things. And we're going to see more of that. We're going to see a lot more of that, because in today's world, where we have instant media, which is a good thing, but of course, people see something happen. One person does something, and then we get the idea that maybe a whole group is negative, or a whole country is negative. And so look at that power out there. One person kills 20 people, and then we get the idea that a whole country is bad, or a whole group is bad. That's exactly what negative spirits would like us to believe and see and think.
Are we witnessing another battle of good versus evil, like we have read in the Bible and other religious books?
I really believe that this is the most intense of those battles that has ever occurred in history. So this is right now, we're right involved, we're right in the middle of the most intense battle of good and evil that has ever existed on this planet in recorded history. There is that much at stake. And so the forces of good have to win. We have to win this battle, and we have not won it yet. And each and every person out there is part of this battle. Each and every one of your listening audience is part of this. And so it's so important that we take a step back and think about our feelings and where they come from and the information that comes to us and what it means. So we don't, go off and start making unfounded accusations or generalizations about other groups and other countries and religions and all of that. That's exactly what negative spirits want us to do, and we can't let that happen.
I remember years ago I had Pastor Harry Walther on the show, and we were talking about the mark of the beast, 666. And he says, no, Rob, you're wrong. It's not 666. It will be proven to be WWW. At the time I thought he was off his rocker. But over the years, seeing the radicalization of ISIS using the computer, seeing that terrorist attacks are using handheld devices as a means of communication to coordinate these attacks, to see the kids walking with their eyes down instead of up, and now with this Pokemon craze, people are just going nuts. So I Harry, if you're listening, I apologize. You were right.
It's a diversion, It's. I remember growing up. I'm 56. I remember growing up in the 1960s and 70s. We had to make our own fun, and now I moved back from Las Vegas to Wisconsin, which is not far from Canada, and I've noticed that there's far less children out in the streets, and there's not less children out there that are living here, but essentially that people are keeping them inside, which is not a good thing, and so they're kind of locked into the media and locked into their video games, which are excessively violent in some ways, and they get a wrong impression about the world, also desensitized. The internet is fantastic. I hopped on it when it first came out for good reasons,
Sure.
In order to try to spread the message of how people can change and protect themselves from negativity. But also negative groups like ISIS and other groups are using this to spread the message of hatred. But they will be exposed. In doing so, they'll expose themselves in the hatred that they're fostering on other people and the murders of their own people in their own group. And so I think to a certain extent it's almost better that some of these groups are heard, because hatred itself, when it's heard, anger and hatred and lies, prejudice, is something that people notice, people pick up on, people realize when they hear it. And so it's kind of like the old saying of pornography, you know it when you see it, that kind of thing. So I'm not a big believer in censorship. I think that now when it comes to making bombs, instructions and all that, sure. But I mean, as far as people saying what they want to say, we recognize that this is not good.
Yeah.
That this is not something that we want. And groups like ISIS, will be extinct in the coming years.
Hopefully.
Not only through their poor ideas and the terrible murders that they're carrying out, but also, that our governments are working to destroy them on a military level.
You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. My friend, please stand by. Exo Nation, Jeffrey SEELMAN is our special guest this hour. He's a professional clearing expert, teacher, author, psychic, and exorcist. His website is www.starclear.com, and he does helping people via Skype. So no matter where you are listening to us around the world, you can contact Jeffrey simply on Skype. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. You can always send us an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And, of course, We're here 24/7, 365 on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and on the IPBN Radio Network, just to name a couple of the networks. Jeffrey and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology right here from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
From the Canadian News Centre, I'm Rob McConnell. Donald Trump's wife Melania, in her first major political speech on Monday, portrayed her husband as a talented, compassionate, and unrelenting leader who would unify rather than divide the country if elected to the White House. With the Olympics less than 3 weeks away, the IOC on Monday promised the toughest sanctions available after a report found Moscow had concealed hundreds of positive doping tests in many sports ahead of the Sochi Winter Games. Turkey vowed on Tuesday to root out allies of the U.S.-based cleric it blames for a failed coup attempt last week after an already deep purge of the army, police, and judiciary, and said it had sent Washington evidence of his wrongdoing. North Korea fired 3 ballistic missiles on Tuesday, which flew between 500 and 600 kilometers, or 300 to 360 miles, into the sea off its east coast, South Korea's military said. The latest is in a series of provocative moves by the isolated country. Even after years of lean times, big U.S. banks are coming under new pressure to cut costs. But management teams are finding some expensive simply won't budge, like the $1 billion a year it costs Bank of America Corporation to shuffle papers around and transport money in armored trucks. Turkey's National Intelligence Organization suspended 100 people, most of whom were not active agents, on suspicion they maintain links to a religious movement blamed for a failed coup attempt, a senior Turkish official said on Tuesday. France's government, smarting from accusations that it did not do enough to avert last week's deadly truck attack in Nice, urged lawmakers on Tuesday to extend a period of emergency rule that gives police greater search and arrest powers. According to the French government spokesperson, Stéphane Le Foll, French police have arrested a 23-year-old cab driver after finding explosive at his home in a district southeast of Paris. In a case that could have an impact on the November presidential election, the Virginia Supreme Court will hear a Republican lawsuit on Tuesday challenging the restoration of voting rights of 206,000 felons by Democratic Governor Terry McAuliffe. From the Canadian News Network in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, I'm Rob McConnell.
Prove that the pen is indeed mightier than the sword, and to help her garner votes, JDK Products has launched the Hillary Clinton Laughing Pen. Hillary's head graces the top of the pen, and when her mouth moves, she laughs. Look at that. She looks like Obama just sang Baby Got Back to her. the JDK Products Hillary Clinton Laughing Pen. It also writes checks that its generous roly-poly pear-shaped booty can't cash. And by that, we mean Bill.
Say, take a check for that pearl necklace?
No.
The pen is mightier than the sword from JDK Products. Coming soon, look for the Obama I'm Fired Up lighter. Perfect for sparking blunts, fatties, and crack pipes from JDK.
The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com.
Uh-oh. Hey, Rocky! I think I'm having more of that deja vu stuff.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Uh-oh. Hey, Rocky! I think I'm having more of that deja vu stuff.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Uh-oh. Hey, Rocky! I think I'm having more of that deja vu stuff.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Uh-oh. I think I'm having more of that deja vu stuff.
Again?
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. All right, now everyone can hear me. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide, you can send an email, studio@X-Zone Radio TV on all social services. Social services, yeah. Social media sites. Social services, right? Everybody who's getting welfare is going to go, let's not go there. Oh, geez. Let's try this again. All social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and you can visit our website at www.xzoneradiotv.com. Jeffrey SEELMAN is my special guest this hour. And Jeffrey, you know it's getting strange. Do you remember the Chia Pets?
Yes.
Okay. Have you seen the latest Chia Pets they have? I saw a commercial today, and this is the God's truth. They now have Trump Chia Pets, Clinton Chia Pets, Sanders Chia Pets, and Obama Chia Pets.
And I guess you just pour water on them or whiskey or something? Or what makes them grow?
Water. Mind you, I don't think Donald Trump's hair will look as funny on the Chia Pet as it does in person.
Oh, that would be true.
It's a strange...
I don't think you can get any wilder than that, yeah.
It's a strange world out there, isn't it? Jeffrey, with all the negativity that's going out there, how does it affect our body? How does it attack our bodies?
It first attacks us on the level of our spirit. So each one of us has two levels, our physical body and our non-physical body, what some people call the spirit or the soul. And so when emotional energy from other people or spirits or environments that have been left over from other people or spirits, say our living environments or working environments, enters into the level of our non-physical body, that works its way up into our physical system. And so that's the way everything kind of works on a positive level as well. But on a negative level, that is a matter of concern. And so when we get attacked, we're not defending ourselves properly, and most people don't. Because we're not taught to do that, Rob. We're just not taught the science of this. I'm a big science guy. I believe this is all science. I believe spirituality is science. I certainly am a very spiritual person, one could say, but I think there's a logic to it all. There's a reason to it. And so negative emotional energy enters into that deeper level of ourselves, and that can affect our health. That can affect our sleeping. It can affect every aspect of our physical being, because our non-physical being essentially is the first principle and runs our physical body. Our physical body could not exist without our non-physical body. So at that point of death, our physical body drops, and our non-physical body, which includes our personality, which includes our emotional system, continues in the same way. So we don't really change when we die. And it takes a while, to change our perceptions. It doesn't happen right away. But it does happen. But it does enter in through that level and works its way up to our physical body rather quickly, just because of the science of it. And so if we're not feeling good on a non-physical level, all of this negativity coming at us, that can affect our health.
It not only affects our health, but it doesn't also affect our home, our work, our school, our studies. It's an all-encompassing effect.
Every aspect of our being. And now, in 2016, as we do this show, there has never been a greater time where this is happening, or a stronger time. This is so important for people to start paying attention to their non-physical body. Call it your spirit, call it your soul. But the soul is not a light inside of us. It's not a part of us. It's not something that we become. We're already there. It's just a part of us, and we need to protect that part of us, and we don't. And most people live in homes and work in places where other people have spent a great deal of time in, other occupants before us, other businesses before us, in our office buildings, in our work environment. And so the emotional energy is already there, and we're walking into that. The same is true of stores and bars, pubs, different places. Wherever we go, there is emotional energy that is invisible, and we can feel it, though. Most people have some story of walking into some environment and saying, you know what, this doesn't feel right, whether it's a restaurant or somebody's living environment. They have a story of it. Everybody's experienced this. What they're picking up on is emotional energy. It's invisible, but it is a real energy. It's a non-physical energy, and that's why we don't see it. That's the science of it. So we don't see our personalities, but they're there. We know we have them. And so that emotional energy is affecting us in many, many ways. And right now, the battle between good and evil, which sounds like a movie, but it really isn't, it's happening for real. And it's always been there. But right now, at this time, it's crucial. The battle is on. And one thing that I've seen in my work, Rob, is that negative spirits, especially demonic spirits, which very often, most often, act alone. They're kind of like criminals, even though they're very powerful and very strong and very smart. They usually act alone. They don't really need a lot of help in what they do because we can't see them anyways. I see them banding together and working on my clients, the ones who call me and I work with. They seem to be banding together like never before. And I've seen in my 25 years professionally of working in this business. And so there is a group effort in order to get people to be angry with each other and feel that everything is going down the drain. Our world is going down the drain, which it's not really. We're just having some problems we have to work through. Of course, we have to pay attention to how we treat the planet. It's just, obvious we have to do that. And so there's a group effort of negative spirits, and there's a lot of negative spirits out there, just like there's a lot of negative people. Most people are good, some are not. Most spirits are good, some are not. But that still leaves a lot of negative spirits, and we are under attack, and we need to realize that, and there are things we can do to actually prevent that from happening and turn this all around so that we can begin to really excel as a people, the entire human race.
So what would be the first step for someone who feels all the negativity? And finally, tonight, listening to you, Jeffrey, all the dots have been connected. What is their first step in rectifying the situation they're in?
Realizing that the soul or spirit or non-physical body, whatever we'd like to call it, actually is real and has an energy field to it. Many people call it the aura, and that we need to heal and seal up any weak spots or holes in the aura that have been created by excess amounts of generating negative emotional energy ourselves and other emotional energies that we pick up from places and people and spirits. And so realizing that, we can gather energy from that level of our spirit and the other side, which some people call heaven, and there's many names for it, which is all proper, and that we can actually heal and seal up our auras so we're not so susceptible to attacks by negative spirits, and also people that are feeling frightened, and logically so, and also people that are feeling very angry. There's a lot of anger out there, and that anger can actually damage our energy fields, and spirits can see that. So spirits can see our energy fields, and they know where to throw that energy of anger and rage and hatred right through our body's energy fields, deep inside, kind of like what is called road rage, the lightning rod effect, essentially putting negative energy into our energy fields and amplifying that and getting us to feel really, really bad about ourselves or really angry about other people and groups. When we look at these kinds of things and study them, we realize that most of these people are really good. But of course, because that we're under attack, and also because people are running scared and they're feeling this incredible anger, and it's building and building and building in the world, there's no time like now to learn how to protect ourselves and strengthen our aura, our energy fields. And there are also many steps above that where we can create through the power of visualization, which is how spirits create things on the other side, essentially defensive fields to protect ourselves that are very advanced but actually easy to make. I teach people how to do these things. And so they're not affected by this negativity and can start to look at exactly what is going on in the world and how we can learn to live with each other. And so many people ask me very quickly, why aliens, are not landing, in the middle of Toronto or New York or something like that. We can't even get along with each other, I tell them. We're still working on getting along with each other. Different skin colors, different religions, different sexualities, different country borders, all these different kinds of things are of these, huge importance to us right now. And so I think, they're helping us, but, they're waiting for us to accept each other. And that's what we have to do, is accept each other. We don't have to like everybody. So I'm not saying that everybody is good and like everybody and all of that. Yeah. No, there are some people that don't deserve it and deserve a lot worse. But good people have to band together and find each other. And I think that's beginning to happen also.
You and I have to take our break, speaking about things that have to happen. I'm sorry. No, my producer is saying I've got about 4 minutes left. Sorry about that, guy. Here's a hypothetical question. If the battle is between the angels, being the good guys, and the demons, being the bad guys, and if there is one God who is the creator of everything, why doesn't the creator, the one God, get rid of all the evil so that we can all live peacefully?
It's an excellent question, Rob, and the answer is that we can do this ourselves. And if we rely upon spirits only, if we rely upon aliens only, if we rely upon God only, then we will resent all of these things, all of these creatures, all of these creators. We'll resent them and want them to fix all of our problems. And so what they're trying to tell us, Rob, is that we have the capability of fixing all of this and creating the world that we want to live in. And that's the message they're trying to send to us. And we are getting help. We are getting help. But they want us to do these things for ourselves because they can't really take away our hatred of other people or other people's ideas or all the things I mentioned, political stuff, the differences of, political differences, right, religious differences, countries and skin colors and all these different things. They can't take that away. Only we can. And so they're trying to get us to do that just like we have to learn how to walk, Why don't we transport ourselves from Toronto to New York or Los Angeles when we can learn how to walk, when we can learn how to fly and build aircraft? We have the power to change ourselves and change this world. If somebody else does it for us, we will resent them, or even worse, rely upon them to fix other problems that come up. It'll never end. So now is the time for us to learn how to live with each other and to fix the problems of this world.
All right, please stand by, Jeffrey. You and I do have to take the break now. Exonation, Jeffrey SEELMAN is our special guest, a great guy. Of course, he's going to be back on in the future. I love people who do things to make a positive change, to help people help themselves, but to go forward. www.starclear.com is his website, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break, wrapping up this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Back in Victorian England, a famous theologian posed a perplexing riddle. Why are the two top personalities in the Bible tagged with the numbers 7 and 11? Academics agree the answer is found in the stunning discovery of a hitherto secret Bible structure explained in a new book called The Genesis Grid. The discovery is so simple that preschool children could illustrate it. Certain claims are hugely controversial and may offend some, but at the X Zone, we've studied this awesome new book and agree with one expert, and I quote, "These discoveries appear to be beyond coincidence." So who or what hid this wonderful pattern in the Bible, and what might they do next? Find out more, X Zone Nation, and read reviews on www.genesisgrid.co.uk. That's www.genesisgrid.co.uk.
Why is Egypt in tumult? Mahmoud Ahmadinejad became president of Iran in August 2005. Few know that he was the ringleader in the 1978 U.S. Embassy siege. The Tehran siege released the virus of Shia fundamentalism. It lasted 444 days. But that number, 444, has been seen before because the pact between Hitler and Mussolini lasted precisely 444 weeks. So could events on Earth be driven by some invisible power working with numbers? In the book, The Genesis Grid, it is proved incontrovertibly that a set of 6 simple numbers is found in 11 places across the Bible. An ancient prophecy of 2 colliding kingdoms, one in Europe and one in the Middle East, is unfolding now. Powers alien to this planet have written the future already. Find out more in The Genesis Grid.
If you enjoy reading a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love From Out of the Woodwork by William S. Peckham. Sean Kennedy, a Toronto contractor, buys derelict houses, guts them, and turns them into multifamily dwellings. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, a century house in ruins, and starts the renovation, the house fights back. He is visited by ghosts of owners past. His visions are triggered by touching an oak mantle, reading a faded letter, opening an old locket, or opening a brand new casket in the basement. These visions will take you on a trip across southern Ontario from Niagara Falls to Toronto to Kingston. From Out of the Woodwork is now available in paperback and on your favorite electronic reader. To order your copy of From Out of the Woodwork, go to www.williamspeckham.com. That's www.williamspeckham.com.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I'm Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My guest this hour, Jeffrey SEELMAN. And Jeffrey, it's been great having you on with us this hour. We'll have to have you back on in the future because we need to get people to understand that there is a solution, and the solution starts with them.
It does. Each and every person has the power to change their life and protect themselves from negativity and to grow themselves and make a better world for each and every one of us. And we have to get rid of that misunderstandings that we have between people, and that's coming. But in the next few months, it's going to get really nasty. And it's not something that some astrologer told me or whatever. I mean, I believe in astrology, but the idea is that it's not something somebody told me. This is something that I see coming, and it's going to get rough. And so prepare for that. That's what I'm saying to your audience. Get ready to, for some really crazy negative things that are going to happen. I don't think it's going to be on a gigantic scale so much as a lot of small things put together that are going to make people think that everything is falling apart.
Yeah.
And that we need to do something really radical and maybe something really violent. And I don't think that really is the answer. Our militaries are taking care of the terrorists, one by one if necessary. So that is really being covered. But I think things are going to get really, really rough over the next year and a half, really. And so prepare for that. And don't buy into the anger and the hatred, I would say to the audience. Think about it. Think about what's happening and realize that most people are good and gravitate towards the ones that are good.
We have to realize that children are not born hating. A child at birth does not hate. A child at birth is just like a hard drive, a book drive. Clean. No data. Doesn't know a bit from a byte until we start programming them. And as we program a child, well, we know what happens. It just gets worse for them.
Back when I was growing up, it was impolite for us and our neighbors to discuss politics and religion, at least in front of children, for sure. And at gatherings and things like that. We just didn't do it because we wanted to be friends, and we know we had differences. Yeah. But it's very different now. The
sure
media is really coming at us very hard in a lot of different ways, in the 24-hour media and all of that. And so children are hearing their parents, they're being frightened and being angry and full of blame and what's going to happen in the future. And they're picking up on this. And so our schools are very different. When I was going to school, it was kind of peaceful. And now, children are coming to school full of anger. They're picking up at home and picking up through the many different sources, the same good sources, the media. I'm not blaming the media, but the same sources that we learn from and are also sources that they're unprepared for.
Jeffrey, we've got to say so long for tonight. I want to thank you so much for joining us. And do me a favor, come back again.
I will, Rob. Thanks for having me on your show.
It's my great pleasure. And Exo Nation, if you'd like to contact Jeffrey SEELMAN, please do. His website is www.starclear.com. Good night, my friend.
Good night, Rob.
We'll be back on the other side of this break with the news as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, talking about angels. Don't go away.